The reality is that most marine mammal public display facilities do not provide in-depth and educational material to the public. The facilities themselves do not provide the audience with any real behavior from the dolphins or other marine mammals. All that the whale and dolphin shows show are the controlled lives that the mammals are subject to. There are almost no natural behaviors in these shows that can be called educational. Many of the actions that the whales and dolphins are forced to do that are portrayed as fun may actually be aggressive behaviors in the wild, thus misleading the audience. In some what dolphins exhibits, dolphins are strictly controlled and people are sometimes misled to think that dolphins are extremely friendly and enjoy playing with humans. This is not the case, and in many cases, the dolphins crack and will attack a human or another dolphin. Many people who visit the park disconnect the reality of a normal dolphin's life to the life of a captive marine mammal. In captivity, these dolphins are displayed in such a way that is beneficial only for the staff and for the public, rather than for the animal. The tank is full of slick surfaces that are easy to clean and are the size that allows maximum visibility from everyone walking by. This is unethical and clearly does not accurately show the natural habitat of the marine mammal, and because of this, the animals cannot act naturally, and so the audience does not gain any true information about the animals other than how they look. Some facilities call themselves conservation centers, but this is mostly untrue. In reality, only 10% of facilities housing animals for public display are invested in conservation programs. This claim is used to justify keeping animals in captivity. These public displays are depleting the wild populations of marine animals instead of conserving or increasing wild populations. When marine mammals are bred in captivity, the offspring is used mostly to replace captive animals because mortality rates are very high due to stress and illness of animals being detained. Also, captive-bred offspring have little to no chance of ever being successfully introduced into the wild. Captive-born offspring usually are hybrids of questionable genetic background. In many cases, the stocks of animals on display are not all from the same ocean or region of the world. For instance, bottlenose dolphins from the Pacific are sometimes bred with bottlenose dolphins from the Atlantic. These animals have no conservation value as they are not purely of any singular ocean or population, and they have no defined social group and may not be accepted by wild populations. In addition, most captured and captive-born marine mammals are separated from their mothers before they learn all the skills they need to survive in the wild, such as foraging. They are also unable to develop their own unique vocalizations. In dolphins, these vocalizations are essentially dialects among different groups of dolphins and can be used for recognition. Without them, a dolphin cannot insert itself into the wild easily. Dolphins who never learn the normal vocalizations of dolphins instead must adopt the man-made sounds they are exposed to. In most cases, though, the facilities housing marine mammals are not quite willing to give up their stock so easily, when they could instead be making thousands of dollars using them in shows and exhibits. In most cases, conservation and breeding are just words that are used to keep the public happy and oblivious. Zoos in Europe are striving to change this. They are required by law to maintain conservation programs with the aim to release animals back into the wild. There is not much more to be gained in terms of research from marine mammals held in captivity. Most of the research that can be done has already been conducted. Actually, most captive research offers information that is misleading and biased because the animal is not in their natural environment and thus cannot exhibit natural behavior. There is more stress on the animals and their natural tendencies are changed due to human interaction, the limits of their space, and their controlled lifestyles. Besides, new technologies such as electronic tags and biopsy darts can be used to obtain much more accurate results when used on wild dolphins. What is disturbing about this claim for research is that the public display facilities sometimes gain nonprofit tax status from simply stating that they are conducting research on their marine mammals, when most of them are doing nothing of the sort. So basically, from a research standpoint, there is really no need for captive marine mammals. The method considered most humane is seine netting, where small boats chase dolphins until they are herded into the net. Even though this method is considered the most humane, the stress caused by this capture method can kill dolphins. Another capture method is hoop netting, which takes advantage of the dolphin's love of bow riding. A human on the boat lowers a pole attached to a collar over the head of a swimming dolphin. The collar is attached to a breakaway net that the animal becomes entangled in. The cruelest method is shown in the movie The Cove and is used mostly in Taiji and Futo, Japan. Boats producing noise herd the dolphins into shallow water. Some of the younger, stronger ones are set aside to be sold alive. The others are killed with long knives and then are sold for human consumption or for pet food. In the US, there have been no captures of bottlenose dolphins since 1989, but in developing countries, captures are on the rise. Most non-cetacean marine mammals are no longer captured because they breed well in captivity, but this is not the case for many cetaceans. After these animals are captured, they are shipped in planes or on boats on trips that can last for hours on end. They are then unloaded and put in their prisons, where they will learn to perform and amaze humans. A false environment and the exposure to people can cause a lot of stress for marine mammals, as is moving from exhibit to exhibit. The industry shows that dolphins in captivity only live to be about 25 to 30 years old, when in the wild they can live to be 40 or more years. Orcas live less than 35 years in captivity, when usually they live between 50 to 80 years in the wild. Only one orca from SeaWorld has died from old age, the others from other diseases. The tanks prohibit all natural tendencies. Dolphins, for example, can reach speeds of 18 to 22 miles per hour and typically travel at speeds of between 5 and 7 miles per hour. They regularly take dives that are 650 feet, and these mammals travel hundreds of miles each day. They could travel 150 kilometers or more in a day, actually. In a world that is full of vegetation and other marine life. The minimum tank requirements created in 1996 were that the tanks had to be 7.32 meters long and 1.83 meters deep, which is barely 1/10,000th of their natural habitat space. How is this ethical and fair? Cetaceans form very complex societies as well. Dolphins, for example, form bonds like humans form bonds. Some last a few days, others last a whole lifetime. The closest bonds are between that of a mother and a calf, which lasts anywhere from 3 years to 9 years. Daughters associate and bond with their mothers after they are grown, while sons tend to bond closer to other males and form complex groups. When these dolphins are taken from the wild, they are usually taken when they are younger. This disrupts the bond that the dolphins build with their mothers and with the other members of their pod. For an animal that has bonds similar to that of humans, this can be stressful and emotionally scarring for both calf and mother. This stress, along with the other stresses of capture, can sometimes kill dolphins. Then there is the question of intelligence. If we knew how smart some of these animals were, maybe there would be even more of a backlash against keeping them in captivity. Dolphins, for example, have been labeled as the second most intelligent animal in the world next to humans and apes. Dolphins have their own set of whistles and clicks that can help with individual recognition. It has been said that the dolphin's ability to carry information of whistles is the same to that of many human languages. They are able to identify themselves in a mirror and can investigate their body using it, which is something that a lot of animals cannot do. They can discriminate between numbers of objects, which was first believed to be only a human attribute, and they have a brain-to-size ratio that is only a little smaller than humans. Some people compare their intelligence to that of a 2-year-old child. If this is the case, then keeping dolphins in captivity is essentially the same as having a small child in prison for the enjoyment of others. Bottom line, it's unethical and wrong. The law that still stands from 1994 is the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which allows public display facilities to display marine mammals in an education or conservation program based on professionally recognized standards of the display community. Seeing as most parks do not serve this purpose, the obvious answer to the question, what can be changed, is to make the public display of marine mammals completely illegal. But how can this be done? First off, laws need to be created that don't have loopholes. In 2009, which was only 5 years ago, there were hardly any viable laws against the capture and display of marine mammals. The places that display marine mammals should be places for conservation and rehabilitation. There should be no shows, and the public should not be the priority. If it is believed to be necessary for the public to view these animals, they should be viewed in a rehabilitation center so that they can truly see these animals being rehabilitated with the intent to be released into the wild. Animals that cannot be released due to illness or injury can be used as teaching animals to show people the human impact on our environment and these magnificent creatures. What can you do to help? By knowing and spreading the knowledge about the truth behind captive marine mammals, you can help more people become aware of the problem. You can also not attend marine mammal shows or support the many organizations out there trying to combat the problem, such as the Humane Society. You can also contact APHIS, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, under the United States Department of Agriculture to express concern. You can also sign the many petitions on change.org. These animals deserve to be free.